All right, so my previous video got cut off a little bit, so I'm going to pick up on this slide right here, characteristics of life. If you remember at the end of last video, we were talking about the organization of a living thing from atoms all the way up to the organism as a whole. So now, characteristics of life. So before I begin this slide, let me tell you that this is not stuff that every living thing on the planet does. You learned about the things that living things do in biology, but this is more centered towards a human, right? This is human anatomy and physiology. Not saying that other organisms don't do this. And actually, we could probably say, okay, every mammal probably does this since we're mammals. But a lot of a lot of animals do these things, and most animals do these things. So what are these things, these characteristics of life I'm talking about? So number one, reproduction. We reproduce. Okay, in order for a species to survive and continue, it has to reproduce. In humans, we have sexual reproduction, which means there's two parents, a mom and a dad. You know that. We don't need to go over that. Number two, absorption. Absorption is basically, if you think of a sponge, you put it over water and it sucks up the water. That's kind of what we do. We eat, we chew our food up, and then we absorb those nutrients, the things that we want, like the proteins and the amino acids. Well, that's proteins, excuse me. The carbohydrates, those things, we absorb those into our blood to be taken to the places that we need. So absorption is a very important part of you being able to have energy, you being able to build certain products. Number three, secretion. We have to secrete products. Secrete products means you produce something. All right. One example that's listed there is digestive juices. When you eat, your stomach produces these digestive juices. Basically, they're acids that helps break down food. And when those juices are secreted when you eat, that food's able to be churned up, broken down even smaller, then we're able to absorb the nutrients. So we're back to the previous characteristics. Hormones, you probably have heard of estrogen and testosterone. We secrete those products. And there's lots of different hormones in the body. So we do a lot of secretion. We'll learn a lot about a lot of cells that secrete products to be used by the body. Excretion, got to get rid of wastes. Okay. Our urinary system, also called the excretory system. Okay, that's how we get rid of waste. We filter all the blood and we remove waste from the blood to get rid of it. Really important process there, because if we have a bunch of wastes in our body, it's not healthy. If you've heard of people that have possibly a failed kidney or kidney disease, they really struggle with a lot of things because they're not filtering their waste. They have to go on this process called dialysis. Circulation. This is our heart. So we circulate fluids around the body. So our heart pumps and that sends blood throughout our body. That blood carries stuff with it. We also have this other system called the lymphatic system that does something very similar. Come on now, here we go. Grow and develop. That one's pretty easy. This is one of the characteristics that you learned about a long time ago in biology, but we grow. You were really, really small when you were born. Now you're a lot bigger. Conductivity, and I apologize for moving this video screen around so much. Let's put it over here. There we go. Conductivity says the capacity of living cells to transmit a wave of excitation from one point to another within the body, developed within the nerve and muscle cells. What in the world does that mean? Basically, we have electricity in our body, which is really, really, really stinking cool. Okay, the human body is amazing, by the way. It's amazing. But this is just one of the many amazing things that it does. We actually conduct electrical impulses using nerves. So like our brain and our spinal cord can talk to our muscles. Right there, I lifted my hand. There was electricity sending these waves of impulses to the nerves, or excuse me, through nerves to tell my hand to move. Okay, so it's really, really cool. It's conductivity. Respiration. Okay, respiration is breathing. Now, breathing is actually more important than just breathing in and breathing out, right? Respiration, you have to breathe in, then you have to absorb oxygen, then you have to transport that oxygen to your cells. If you remember from biology, that oxygen was used for cellular respiration. Okay, and then that oxygen goes into a cell. So all that's part of respiration. Okay, that's why it says internal or external respiration. Internal is like we're putting this oxygen into the cells. External respiration would be.
BLT know that they are meeting at 10:10 in the Overlook. BLT meeting at 10:10 in the Overlook.
Okay, now you know when the BLT meeting is. So anyway, we exchange those gases both at our cells, at our lungs, and then with our mouth or nose. We breathe in, we breathe out. Digestion. Okay, this is one you probably have all heard about before. We break down food, and then we can use that food or the nutrients within the food to help with individual cells. And responsiveness. How do we respond to the environment? How do we respond to the area around you? Okay, you're walking in the woods, you see a bear, you run away. That's responsiveness. Now, it's obviously a little bit more complex than that. So, for example, when you're cold outside, and this is another thing we're going to talk about in a moment, when it's cold outside, you will start shivering, okay, to raise your body heat. That sometimes, so the running away from the bear was a voluntary response. The shivering is an involuntary response, meaning you just do it because your body knows you got to create body heat. Okay. And then the last part of this characteristics of life is homeostasis. Homeostasis is a very interesting thing, but it's extremely important. We want our internal conditions to stay constant, right? We want to be constant at all times. So the easiest example to use is body temperature. The average body temperature is 98.6 degrees. We want our body temperature to stay in that range. Okay, it doesn't always have to be at 98.6, and some people may be a little bit higher, a little bit lower. For example, I'm like my body temperature is like low 97s all the time, sometimes high 96s. All right, some people may be a little bit higher. So what do we do to maintain homeostasis? All right, I maintain homeostasis by basically using those impulses, okay, or stimuli, and then I'm able to take not me, but my body is able to involuntarily either raise or lower certain things so that I can stay within homeostasis. There's a lot of examples like this. Your blood pressure is one. Your heart rate is one. Your blood carbon dioxide levels or blood oxygen levels. Your sugar levels in your blood. Body temperature already mentioned. These are all ways that we have to maintain homeostasis or keep our internal conditions stable at all times. All right. Now, this all is done by this thing called a feedback control loop. And this is something that we'll see a little bit more on the next video. Feedback control loop is basically this thing in our body that says, okay, something happened and let's think about body temperature. My body temperature is going up. The feedback control loop is going to say, all right, I got to do something to lower that body temperature. So what am I going to do? All right. All that is homeostasis. So all of this that we just did, oops, I'm going the wrong way. Characteristics of life, reproduction, absorption, secretion, excretion, circulation, growth and development, conductivity, respiration, digestion, responsiveness, and homeostasis. These are extremely important characteristics of life within our body.